Hello, my name is Phil Bachman. I'm the brand manager for EK Blessing at St. Louis Music in St. Louis, Missouri. Welcome to this Blessing Band Chat session with our good friend, music educator, and director of bands at Jefferson High School in Jefferson, Georgia, Mr. Nick Golding. How you doing, Nick?
Good. How are you doing today, Phil?
I'm doing well. Off to a new year and excited to optimistic about
Right.
getting bands back together and kids making music. Would you mind giving us a quick recap of your background? Where'd you go to school? How long have you been teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been teaching for 13 years now, all in the state of Georgia and the public schools there. Prior to that, I was in the U.S. Navy bands for 7 years. My college background is sort of a hodgepodge of different schools that I attended while moving around through the Navy. But I taught drum corps quite a bit when I was coming up through the ranks, so to speak, and I freelanced as a horn player in the Atlanta Pops, and just recently actually joined the Air National Guard Band of the South up here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I'm in a drill weekend right now as we speak.
So you live in Georgia, you teach in Georgia, but you're in Knoxville doing a drill.
Right. Apparently, this is the only Air Force band in the southeastern United States. And so if you want to be a part of this group, you just have to make that commute.
Oh, outstanding. Now,
Yeah.
As far as performances go, how does that work, particularly now?
Well, I'm not sure. This is my first weekend here with the group. I know that they have had some virtual performances where they've pre-recorded music with smaller ensembles and they're socially distanced. The rehearsals they have with the large group, they primarily have outside. People are masked up when they're not playing or when they're not performing. And when they have the rehearsals in the band room, it's usually smaller groups, chamber ensembles, or smaller sectionals.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Do you have anything upcoming?
Not that I'm aware of. It's been sort of a light schedule just because of the pandemic and everything. But I do think that there's a 2-week summer tour that's coming up where there's going to be a patriotic tour and some performances across the southeastern U.S.
All right. Well, here's the $1 million question. I think it's the kind of question that there's no definitive answer, but from your view, what does the band room look like in 2021 going into 2022?
That's in my view, that's a tricky one. It's I have to be careful with this because across the country we're in different states of band. I know I have some friends who haven't seen their students all year, and it's all been virtual. And then I have other people who've been sort of in a hybrid situation where some of the kids are there in person, some of the kids are online trying to come in via Zoom or Google Classroom or whatever the media might be. And then you have schools like mine where we're 100% face-to-face having face-to-face instruction. So our band room looks very similar to what it did prior to this, with the big differences being, the inclusion of bell covers and face masks, distancing, and different seating configurations.
Right. How do the kids react to those things?
And this is primarily a me thing, I think, first and foremost. My first rehearsal back, because everything shut down here in Georgia in March. And so everything was virtual for the rest of the school year. So when I had my first wind ensemble rehearsal in the new year, I noticed I felt very disconnected from the students, and I felt like I was really having communication issues with them. And what it really was there was so much more distance between me and the back of the ensemble because of the way we spread out the seating, and because I have my mask on in class and they have their masks on. It just made communication very difficult. So for me, initially, I was perceiving it to be attention issues on their part or focus issues on their part, and really, it really was just a distance and communication issue. But I will say, especially to the students' credit, like once we sort of identified, because there's a lot of troubleshooting going on trying to figure out what the issue was, and once we sort of got past that and figured out that's what was really happening, I don't know, something happened where I feel like they listened harder, and everybody tried a little bit harder to listen to the group and function within the group. And so it's really weird because it seems like now we have that connection again, even though we're completely spread out in the room. And I always, as a sort of an instructional tool earlier in my career, I've always spread the groups out anyway to try to encourage the students to fill up their area. And so now that's just something that they're doing because that's the way we sit. And so moving into 2021 or 21, 22, whatever is coming up, I might actually keep that model of keeping them spaced out. I think it definitely encourages some good habits in terms of tone production.
Talk about the adjustments you've made to keep your students motivated this year. You finished one year in the spring, going into summer, and started a new year. And we were all over the place nationally with school in session and coming back at different times. What did you do to keep your students engaged?
Well, I started a new year at a new school too, which was doubly tricky. But it's I was having this conversation with one of my band parents the other day because we were planning some larger trips that we have coming up. And for me, I said this out loud. I always have to have a goal. Like I always have to be working towards something. And when I say goal, like something to look forward to. And I noticed that with my students too. When the year ended last year, I mean, everybody was heartbroken, and we sat around and we had big goals. I know we had a WGI Wins group that we're going to take to World Championships. Our jazz band had a festival coming up in our performance evaluation, and our spring concert that we were looking forward to, and all that stuff just got pulled out from underneath us. And so we're sitting around these virtual sessions, and I don't know if you remember, but they kept kicking the can down the road. They said schools are closed for 2 weeks, and then it was schools are closed through spring break, and then schools are closed at the beginning, and then they were done. And so there was nothing to look forward to. So the students, and this was teachers in all the subjects too, but particularly in band, we're trying to get them to log into these virtual classrooms, and they're just not having it. And so they're logging in and they're doing some assignments. The one thing that got them a little excited was when we put together a virtual jazz band. And again, that was having a goal. Like if you do this and we get the assignments in, then we can cut all these videos together, and then we have a performance that we can put online and we can share and we can be proud of. But beyond that, there was really nothing. And for me, that just sort of solidified my idea that the way to keep students motivated is to have performance objectives for them and goals and things that they're going to achieve and things that they're going to accomplish. Again, we've been very fortunate. I say fortunate. We've been fortunate in the sense that we've been able to make music together. And so in Georgia, a lot of bands did have a competitive season this year. And so that was something the kids could look forward to. And we didn't lose sight of the fact, a band director up here, Jeff Harper, he's one of the assistant band directors at Lassiter High School. He made a post on Facebook when this all happened and said that this should be a reminder that we should enjoy the journey, not the destination, right? And because you never know when the journey is going to end. And when he said that, I commented on Facebook, like, I'm stealing this from you. And I told him I was going to take credit and make it my own too, but I didn't. I'm giving him credit for it. But he's so right. And so we tried to live with that mindset this year. So during band camp, the kids, we got them motivated through the parent performance. So we have the parent performance at the end of this. The whole community is going to come. Your parents are going to be there. We don't know what's going to happen with this thing. This could be the last time we ever perform together as a group. So they were motivated. Every football game, we had 2 competitions, and it just so happened that there was sort of a regional outbreak after our second competition, and things got shut down for us after that. And so from a marching standpoint, and so that lesson ended up bearing some fruit at the end there. But having those performance objectives put in motivates them. Spring or fall Christmas concerts. Right now, Wind Ensemble, we're trying to put together music for our festival. Our WGI Wins group is doing the virtual Wins competition here. And so having these little objectives along the way is how I keep them going.
Wonderful. It is about the journey. It is about the journey. Okay, let's talk about Winter Guard International, because a lot of people might not know that. Before you and I spoke, to be truthful, I didn't know much about it.
Oh, right.
You've won the WGI Wins Scholastic World Championship in 2016 with another one of your programs. Mm-hmm. Can you share your plans tell us about WGI first, and then can you share your plans for WGI for this year?
Sure, absolutely. Well, and so as most of the band directors who are watching this will probably know, Winter Guard International is a international activity that caters to your color guards, your indoor drum lines, And most recently, they added a winds division. I think it's like 5 or 6 years old now at this point. When I was at Jackson County High School, we were actually founding members of the organization, or of the winds division. We won a bronze medal that year. That was just a ton of fun. And when it started out, it really was very much just marching band in the gymnasium. I don't think that was the intent, but since it was a brand new thing, and that's sort of the frame of reference that we all had to draw from, that's what it became. And then over the course of the years, you had this group from Japan called Amachi that came over and did some pretty groundbreaking things. And then you had some independent groups that were affiliated with established quality indoor drum lines that started bringing their flair to it. And then you had other scholastic groups that started really elevating the visual portion of that by making it more dance-like. I think the activity has evolved, especially since the last time we've done it. But it is still at its core an indoor movement and wind ensemble. Basically, the focal point is the wind players and moving while they play, right? And it was great for our program because a lot of directors kind of scoffed at the idea. They're like, "Oh, it's just year-round marching band." And what I found was I had kids who ordinarily wouldn't practice, who were now practicing playing 8 to 9 hours a week more than they would have, because we were having more rehearsals and more face time with the instruments. And we always strive to try to take a concert band approach indoors with the instruments. I mean, not that our approach on the field is really all that much different anyway. But with the kids playing more, I mean, our concert ensembles actually went through the roof. The year after we won that world championship in Scholastic A, our wind ensemble was invited to perform as a featured ensemble at the Georgia Music Educator in-service conference for all the band directors and music educators in the state. And then the following year went on to do 2 major university festivals as a featured guest ensemble. So, it certainly is something that can augment the total educational experience of your program, and it just gives more opportunities for your kids to play their instruments.
I have to say, watching some of the videos of the performances, I was blown away with them. They're you're telling a story.
Right. Yeah.
And I was very impressed with, what you shared with me. So I'm excited to see what you guys do this year. The added benefit is that you're going to be playing some blessing instruments this year with the kids.
Absolutely. Yes. We're very excited about that. So this year, as you know, we're outfitting the entire ensemble with blessing instruments, and we've actually already had several rehearsals on the instruments. The kids love them. It was like a second Christmas as they sort of unboxed them and got ready for the rehearsal. And when they came off the pallet from the truck, I mean, I had kids like, "Hey, can we open those instruments now?" And we're going to do it all together, guys. Just wait. So they kept like peeking in the room to see if they can catch a glimpse of the instruments, and even the marching brass. They're so shiny. But yeah, so we're really, really excited about that. And this year's approach is going to be a little bit different as well, because it's all virtual, and so we're basically designing a blast-like stage show, but it's only 5.5 minutes long. That'll take place in our theater with lighting effects and more of an audience-centric viewpoint in terms of the camera angle. And so we're really excited about that. And with the addition of the blessing instruments, having all the students on matched brass instruments, matched woodwind instruments with the same tendencies, it really makes a difference when you're trying to work with an ensemble and all the instruments do the same thing at the same places.
Really, the number one goal of blessing is meeting the needs of the market. What does the market need? And what do you need? You and I have actually talked about this a little bit. There is something you need that you'd like to see, and so
yeah, that's right. I wasn't going to call you out on that, but since you brought it up, yes, I would love to see us use a phone. A phone.
So can we do it? How do we do it? There's a lot of factors to consider, but we're working on that. And that is something that's exciting. We put the brakes on all those projects this last year, but things are opening up, and we've like I said in the beginning of the call, I'm excited for the opportunities of the year.
Right.
It definitely feels different. It's been a rough few months, but there is a positive feeling when I talk to, no matter who I talk to. So I'm excited for that.
Well, you brought up needs, and I think that especially for programs in rural areas where you don't have a lot of the same resources as maybe some of the more metro areas, but the primary need to me is quality instruments at a price that families can afford and that schools can afford to provide the experience to as many kids as possible. And I think that with Blessing, you've really hit the mark with that. And so we're really appreciative of you and your company. And also in a time right now when I know a lot of other companies who do great things for music are kind of scaling back. You're the only group that I'm aware of that's actively reaching out and getting involved with performing ensembles and trying to find a way to where kids can continue to make music and be a part of that experience.
I just want to thank you for your time and sharing your experiences with us. It's just great to touch base with people around the country and hear, what it looks like in their world. So thank you.
Well, thank you.